Just Add Water meal pouches are an easy way to bulk up your emergency food storage, and they have lots of other uses. But are any of them actually edible?
Do I have to eat this? I can't eat that. Do I dump it in the trash?
Maybe down the toilet? Hey guys, it's Jara with Wicked Prepared. Welcome back to the channel. You might notice something different today. I am not in my usual surroundings in my kitchen. We're traveling for a couple of regional events. Big shout out to everyone that we got to see in Utah and Philly. I absolutely love getting to meet people in person at events like these. When we travel, we like to take along some meal pouches like these. Traveling is expensive and eating out is expensive. So if we can cut down on the amount of eating out we have to do, it really helps out our budget when we travel. Not to mention, it also saves us time as well. We keep meals like these on hand also as part of our emergency food storage, and I know a lot of you do as well. They can be great for that because you only have to boil water to prepare them. But a mistake a lot of preppers make is stocking up on a bunch of these survival meals without trying them to see if they actually like them. Granted, in a dire emergency, most of us would choke down just about anything to stay alive. But honestly, we prep so we don't have to do that. If we're going to be spending our hard-earned money on preps, we really ought to make sure that we're spending it on stuff that's worth the money we're spending. We have a few favorite brands of these type of meals that we keep stocked up on in our food storage, but we thought for this trip it might be fun to compare several different brands and give you guys our opinion on all of them. So we picked a few meals that we could find basically the same meal in several different brands, and we stocked up on a bunch of meals for this trip. I left Mr. Wicked Prepared in charge of packing up the meals he thought we'd need, and apparently, you know how they say not to grocery shop when you're hungry? I think he was probably hungry when he packed all these meals. So we have a few meals where we have basically the same meal in different brands. So we've got these creamy beef ones here. They're basically like a beef stroganoff. We've got Mountain House. We've got a ReadyWise Adventure Meals. We have got a Peak Refuel, and then we have got a Thrive Life creamy beef meal. We also have the same situation with chicken teriyaki. So we've got a Mountain House, we've got a Peak Refuel, a ReadyWise, and a Thrive Life chicken teriyaki with rice. And we also have a breakfast meal for when we need a breakfast. We've got a breakfast scramble. So we've got Backpacker's Pantry, Mountain House, Peak Refuel, ReadyWise, and Thrive Life. And we do also have a few other random meals that we didn't have multiple brands of the same meal. So these are just some extra meals, and we have desserts and some extra meals that we might eat along the way. But we are going to do a comparison of a few of these different meals so that we can give you our opinion on the different brands of these backpacking and survival meals. Now back here, I've got these cooler bags, and this is what I like to use when we are preparing these meals, because we like to pour the hot water right into the pouch with the meal, but it really helps them to prepare really well if you can keep the heat in. So we use these insulated cooler bags, and these are also really great for packing the meals. And if you're packing them like we do for a trip, if you're packing them for backpacking, you're going to want to use, you might want a koozie for them, but you're going to want to use something really light. So for traveling though, these are light and they don't take up much space when we pack several of the meals inside of each bag. Typically we would only need one bag to do one meal at a time, or we could probably even do 2 meals at a time in one bag. But because we're doing this test, we needed a few extra bags. We've got a lot of food to try, so let's jump in and get started on our first meal, which is a chicken teriyaki with rice. So besides just doing a taste test, we were going to compare some of the differences between the different brands, like the size of the meal and the amount of calories, the amount of protein, and everything that they have. Now, most of these pouch meals are either 2 servings or 3 servings. But first off, let's be real. Basically, a 2-serving meal is usually considered to be a 1-serving meal, especially if you are a hungry backpacker. You're usually going to be able to eat one whole pouch in one sitting. And the 3-serving meal's probably going to be considered more of a 2-serving meal. That's just the way that it goes. But we, as Americans, tend to eat larger portion sizes than we probably should. So if you don't have a really big appetite and you eat more reasonable portion sizes, you might actually get 3 or 2 servings out of these pouches. So this Mountain House meal, which is considered a 2-serving pouch, this is 4.2 ounces or 118 grams. 2 servings per container. Each serving is 230 calories, so the whole package is going to be 460 calories. 28 grams of protein in the whole package. The Peak Refuel is considered a 2-serving pouch, and this one is 4.83 ounces or 138 grams. 290 calories in each serving, and then 580 total, with a total of 40 grams of protein in the whole pouch. We've got the ReadyWise Adventure Meal, which is actually considered a 2.5 serving pouch. That's what they consider this. This one is 6 ounces or 170 grams, and we've got 250 calories in each serving. And then if you eat the whole pouch, you've got 620 calories and 30 grams of protein. And then we've got the Thrive Life, which is considered a 3-serving pouch, and this one is 7.4 ounces or 210 grams. This has 370 calories per serving, 1,100 calories per pouch, and 43 grams of protein if you eat the whole pouch. So let's look at the sodium. The sodium per serving in the Mountain House meal is going to be 660 milligrams. The Peak Refuel has got per serving 680 milligrams. The ReadyWise per serving has got 790 milligrams of sodium. And then the Thrive Life per serving has 670 milligrams of sodium. So I would say the Mountain House, Peak Refuel, and Thrive Life are all right about the same on sodium, roundabout. And then the ReadyWise is the one that stands out as being quite a bit higher in sodium. This has 34% of your daily sodium in one serving. Now let's look at the shelf life on these meals, because that's another factor that people like to consider. This is best by June of 2054. This is the Mountain House. So that means it's got about a 30-year shelf life. This is best by 2034. So that's about a 10-year shelf life. This is the ReadyWise. This is a best by 2039. So that would be about a 15-year shelf life. And then the Thrive Life, they do theirs a little bit different. They have a manufactured on date, which we have had this one in our stash for quite a while. This one is from 2023, but it has a 20-year shelf life. All right, so let's check these out now. Let's start with the Mountain House. Now, most of these, or probably all of these meals, are going to have an oxygen absorber in them. That can be discarded. So here's the Mountain House. I do see a good amount of chicken in here. You can see it looks like there's rice stuck to the chicken. It looks like they actually maybe made the meal and then freeze-dried the whole meal and then broke it up. I see carrots, I see peas, I see maybe little bits of red pepper. Lots of the sauce that has powdered up in there. And now the Peak Refuel. With these meals, it looks like the sauce is freeze-dried as a separate entity and then broken up into chunks. Maybe the sauce with the vegetables. Yep, this was the one that said teriyaki sauce with vegetables. So that, I believe, is all freeze-dried as one unit and then just broken up a little bit and put in there. The chicken is put in separately. And I don't even see the rice. I don't even see any rice, but it must be in there. I think I see it down in the bottom. I guess the good news is that means this one appears to have a good amount of meat and vegetables, or at least meat compared to the rice. Here is our ReadyWise. So this one you can see the rice and the powdered sauce ingredients and some chicken. The vegetables in this look to be dehydrated to me rather than freeze-dried, because you can see how they have that kind of shriveled, dehydrated look, if you're familiar with dehydrated vegetables. It does say freeze-dried chicken, and it does say dehydrated vegetables. Okay, so these are dehydrated vegetables. Now, another difference that I'm seeing with this ReadyWise meal that I think is different from all the others is this one uses a lot of powdered ingredients to create the sauce as it's being prepared. So it's got the sugar, it's got the cornstarch, it's got soy sauce powder, and other things like that. This is similar to the way that I would make a meal myself. If I was making it like a meal in a jar, I would put powdered ingredients in. This is different than the other meals, because what that would be like is these meals are making their sauce and then freeze drying the sauce afterwards, rather than putting powdered sauce ingredients in the pouch. They are putting in sauce that was made and then freeze dried. So this would be the difference between, like if I was to make a pouch meal at home, which you've seen me do on videos, and I add the rice, I add soy sauce powder, I add sugar. I actually have a chicken teriyaki pouch meal, and now I'm wishing I would have brought one of my own to compare as well. But so that's the way this one is made. The other ones are made similar to what would happen if I were to make a batch of chicken teriyaki and rice and just freeze dry it all together, or if I was to make my teriyaki sauce fresh and then freeze dry that and add that into my meal. So let's get started. I am going to prepare all of these meals, and then Mr. Wicked Prepared and I are going to taste test them. Now, I found the key with meals like this is that you may have to let it stand longer than it says to get it ready. So if you find something's not softened up as much as you want, just let it go a little bit longer. It does help having them in an insulated bag or some kind of a koozie to hold the heat in. Now, if we're traveling and we forget to bring something like this, or we just didn't bring something like this, we have done things like wrap them in a towel, a clean towel from the hotel. Anything to keep the heat in will help. If you're at home or you're in maybe a suite with a kitchen or anything like that, you can put it into a pot and let it boil a little bit before you let it stand, and that will also help. They all have a Ziploc, and so what we do is we add in the water, give them a good stir to get all those ingredients distributed evenly, and then zip them up and put them into the pouches. We do have these measuring cups in this hotel room, which is nice. But I know they're not a liquid measuring cup. I could not find a liquid measuring cup here, and I did not bring one. So I am just going to use these measuring cups to measure the water, and hopefully that will be fine. I've also got spoons for each meal. I don't want to stick one spoon from one meal into the other and just risk swapping the sauce back and forth, because I don't think that would be an even test. My water is about to come to a boil, so let's get ready to get these prepared. Okay, so this is the Mountain House, and this is 1 2/3 cups of water. So we've got 1/3, 2/3. Let's get this one all stirred up. Vegetables are looking nice already. That's the beauty of freeze-dried vegetables, is the instant the water hits them, they really come back to life and look amazing. I'm going to seal this one up. This is the one that calls for sitting for 5 minutes and then stirring it again, which probably wouldn't be a bad idea on any of these meals, but none of the other ones require that in their instructions. All right, so now for the peak refuel. This one calls for 1 1/3 cups of water. And let's give this one a stir. Get that sauce in there so that can start dissolving. I'm really surprised this one does not call. You can see the chunks of sauce. Actually, that might be a chunk of carrot, but you can see chunks of sauce. That's a big chunk of carrot. So I'm really surprised this one doesn't call for being stirred again. So now we've got the ReadyWise. This one calls for 2 cups of boiling water. And place it in its bag. And now the Thrive Life meal. This one calls for only 1 cup of water. All right, let's give this one a stir. I'm really surprised that this meal, the biggest meal of all, only calls for 1 cup of water. It calls for the least amount of water. But that is a good point, that if you find that you need a little bit more water, if your meal is not moist enough for you, you can certainly add more water than what is called for. All right, so these are all sitting, getting ready to eat. So in just a few minutes, we'll do the big taste test. I think what I'm going to do when each of these is ready is I'm going to dump each pouch out onto the same plate. Not the same plate. These plates are all the same. I'm going to dump each pouch out onto its own plate. And I think that'll kind of let us see how much food is in each without having to measure it, because I don't have a lot of good measuring utensils. I wish I had big bowls. I would put them in the bowls, and that would be easier to see. But this way we'll be able to see the way the ingredients look, the amount of food each one is, and then we'll do the taste test. So I'm going to do the Mountain House first. I'm just going to give it one final stir and then get it out onto its own plate. And next I'm going to do the Peak Refuel and out onto the plate. Next I'm going to do the ReadyWise meal. And finally I'm going to dish up the Thrive Life meal. I think it's interesting that all of these pouches, being different sizes to begin with, all seem to produce a pretty similar amount of food. I mean, a lot of that's going to have to do with the amount of water that was added. For instance, this pouch right here had the largest amount of food in the pouch when it was dry, but it called for the smallest amount of water to be added. So obviously that's going to lead to a lower volume of food in the end than if the larger amount of water had been added. So I think you could control a lot of that by changing the amount of water. You might get it soupier. This one had the highest amount of water, and you can see that it's definitely a soupier end product, but it's also a larger amount of food, or at least it looks like it is. Now, the water added is not going to affect the calories, so the final calorie count is going to be just what it says on the pouch. So this pouch right here has a total of 620 calories if you were to eat the whole container, whereas this one has got 1,100 calories if you were to eat the whole container. That is not going to change by the amount of water added or the volume of food you end up with when you're done. All right, so now these are ready to try, taste, see how we like them. I'm going to call in Mr. Wicked Prepared, and we're going to go to town. Let's give them a try. So what are we going to start with?
Do you wear your glasses for this?
I can't see if I don't wear my glasses. All right, let's try the ReadyWise first. Not a ton of flavor. Oh, it's not terrible. All right, I'm going to try the Mountain House. I like the peas and the carrots. That has the small pieces of chicken. This has pretty small pieces of chicken. That one's pretty good. That one's better. I can taste the ginger in that one. I really like that. All right, let's try this one. This has some good chunks of veggies and chicken, but I want to try, hold on. Okay. This one has a good flavor because it has the pineapple juice in the sauce, so it has a good flavor from that. This one right here, I am not a huge fan. I don't really love the flavor. Not a ton of flavor. I don't really think it's a teriyaki flavor, but it's not, I mean, I could eat it and I would eat it if I was starving. It's not that bad, and it's a lot of food, but I would not choose that one. I like the Mountain House at first. I love the way it smells. I love the ginger smell. It's maybe a little too much ginger flavor for me. This one's not bad. This one is pretty good too. I like the chicken in this. I like the vegetables in this. The sauce is pretty good. I'm not sure about the green beans, but that's just a personal preference. I love the flavor of this one. It's got a good strong flavor. I do think this one needed more water. I think it's a little too thick, and a little bit of the chicken was still not fully moist. So I think that this one really needed more water than called for on the package. But any of these three, probably most especially these two, but any of these three I would pretty happily eat. That being said, I really wish I had brought one of my homemade chicken teriyaki meals, because I think I like that one better than any of them.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess that's the benefit of making them yourself, is that you can control and make it exactly the way you want it. But sometimes it's easier to do this. What do you think about them? What was your opinion?
I would have to say my favorite would come down to between these two. I am not a big fan of that one at all. I might choose to starve before I ate that one. This one was good, and it has a lot of flavor, but I don't feel like it's a teriyaki flavor to me.
Yeah.
Between these two, I sort of feel like this one might look a little bit better, maybe with the green beans. Mm-hmm. It's definitely not as sweet as that one.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have that teriyaki flavor.
Yeah.
But I would be happy with these.
Any of those three, yeah. Me too. This is not a huge fan of that. But it doesn't have a ton of flavor, but you could definitely eat it and not starve. Well, maybe not you.
I'd rather starve.
The next meal where we were able to get multiple different brands is a breakfast skillet. And I've got 5 different brands here. The first one I've got here is Backpacker's Pantry. This is a 1-serving pouch. It is 2.1 ounces or 60 grams. This one per serving and per pouch is going to be 270 calories and 18 grams of protein. This one is a little different because this one said it has beans. I actually just noticed, I think it has beans in place of meat. I don't think this one actually contains any meat, which I did not realize. I thought maybe they had added beans for extra protein, but looks like they're taking the place of meat. The next pouch is a Mountain House. This is a 2-serving pouch. It is 3.7 ounces or 106 grams. Per serving, it's got 260 calories and 14 grams of protein. So for the whole pouch, you've got 520 calories and 28 grams of protein. Next, we've got a Peak Refuel. This is also a 2-serving pouch. It is 3.88 ounces and 110 grams. This one has 270 calories per serving and 15 grams of protein. So for the whole pouch, you're going to get 540 calories and 31 grams of protein. Then we have got a ReadyWise. This is a 2.5 serving pouch at 3.74 ounces or 106 grams. So this one per serving has 200 calories and 9 grams of protein. So for the whole pouch, you're going to get 490 calories and 23 grams of protein. And then the final meal we've got here is a Thrive Life meal. This is a 3-serving pouch. This one is 4.23 ounces or 120 grams. So this one per serving, you're going to have 200 calories and 12 grams of protein. So for the entire pouch, you're going to get 600 calories and 36 grams of protein. All right, I'm going to do this just like I did the other meal, and I'm going to be preparing these all at the same time, and then we will do a taste test. So this time I am going to do something similar. I'm going to put each meal on its own plate so that I can show what they look like. We tried to figure out how to do a blind taste test for the last meals, and we really couldn't figure it out. But this time, I think we've got a plan. I'm going to dish everything out, and I'm going to put them on the counter and hide the labels under the plates, and I'm going to bring them one at a time over to Mr. Wicked Prepared. He is going to taste them and rate them. And then he's going to do the same to me, bring them over to me one at a time to taste and rate. So that'll be our way of doing a blind taste test kind of as best we can. And once again, in this hotel, we don't have 5 plates, but I'm going to put the smallest meal in a bowl. And now I'm going to go ahead and put these on the counter and get ready to do our blind taste test. Okay, how are you going to rate these meals?
So what I'm going to do is rate 1 through 10 on flavor, texture, and appearance.
All right.
So 1 being not good and 10 being the best.
Here is your first taste.
So appearance, that actually looks really good. So I'd have to go with probably an 8. Probably a 7 on the flavor. I don't think the vegetables have a whole lot of flavor, but the meat tastes pretty good. And texture, maybe a 6 on the texture. That's pretty good.
Put the spoon back on the plate, please. They each have their own spoon. Meal number 2.
Well, right off the bat, this one looks a lot different. Does it not have any meat?
It may not.
Oh, okay. Well, it still looks pretty good, but I would go 6 on appearance. It's got a little kick to it. I'm not a huge beans fan, but it still tastes pretty good. I'd have to say 5 on texture, probably 7 on the taste. I do like the little bit of a spice that it has, but not bad.
All right, meal number 3.
It looks a little, I don't know, it looks a little bland looking, but let's see how it tastes. I forgot to give my number on appearance. I'd go 4 for appearance. It's colorful, but it just looks, it's like it's all the same color. And taste, it kind of tastes like how it looks. I would say 5 on taste. I do kind of like the texture with has more of a shredded potato. Kind of like that. So let's go with 6 on taste.
Meal number 4.
It looks really good. It looks a lot different than the others. Got a lot of color. So probably an 8 for appearance. Not spicy or anything, but definitely a lot of flavor, and you can really taste the vegetables. I'd have to say probably an 8 on texture and an 8 on taste. That's pretty good.
All right, meal number 5.
This looks a lot different. It really doesn't even look like it doesn't look like the rest. On appearance, I would say 1 or 2 at the most. It looks real soupy and it doesn't look appetizing, but here it goes. That's bad.
It's bad. Is it as bad as it looks?
That's real bad. That has no flavor. What did I give it, a 1 or 2 for appearance? I'd almost go, I'll say 1 for appearance, 1 on texture, and I really can't give that a 2 for the taste. I don't even, so one's across the board. That was really bad.
So now it's my turn. I am not camera ready, so I'm not appearing on camera.
Your first one.
Okay. Let's see. Appearance. I really like the appearance of this one. I like the yellow color. And I don't know, I think this looks really good. So I'm going to give this an 8 for appearance. So now let's try taste and texture. I actually think this is really good. I think that's really good. I'm going to give it an 8 because it's my first one and I have to have some wiggle room on either side. I'm going to say 9 on texture. I enjoy that texture.
And here's this one.
Oh, Lordy. This looks like a hot mess. So for appearance, I'm going to give this one a 2. It doesn't smell too good either. Oh, God. All right, so 2 on appearance. Yeah. Oh. Okay, that's a 1 for flavor because it's kind of gross. It's not even just flavorless. It has kind of a gross flavor. And texture, I'm going to go with a 2. It's not very good. That is yuck.
And here you go.
Okay, let's see. Appearance. I'm going to give this one an 8. I like the appearance. I love that it has green in it. To me, that is something I should be eating. That's healthy. And it's a good contrast to colors. It's got some red. It's got some green. I'm going to do a 9 on the taste because I really like this. It's got plenty of seasoning, but not too salty. And I can really taste the vegetables and the spinach, and I really, really like that. It tastes healthy, and it tastes good. And the texture, I'm going to go with an 8. I think it's got a good texture. The potatoes have a good texture. It feels really fresh. 9 on taste, 8 on texture.
Here you go.
No. That was, I think I've already tried that.
Oh, well, I don't want it.
Yucky. All right, let's see. This one looks really good. This has another good contrast of colors. So I'm going to say a 8 for appearance. I'm going to go with 7 on the texture because this one feels like it could have used a little more water or a little more time. It seems a little crunchy. I would say the taste is a 7 or an 8. It's tasty. It's got good flavor. And if you like peppers, then you would like this. And I do like peppers. So I would say that first one, did I rate the first one an 8?
Yep.
Then I'm going to rate this one a 7 because I think I like that first one a little bit better than this one. 7 on flavor. And the texture needs a little help.
And your last one.
Okay. This one looks different. And of course, I know which one this is, but I actually think it looks pretty good. I like the colors in this. I'm going to give this an 8 on appearance. I actually think this is really tasty. I think it's got a good texture and a good flavor. I'm going to go 9 on taste and texture. I really like that one. We'll take that down to an 8. It's a good flavor, but it is a little spicy.
So you just changed the number?
I think so. Just because the spice is lingering with me and I could see it causing issues. But it is very tasty. And if you like spicy stuff, you'll really like it.
Were we supposed to hit record?
Please tell me it's recording. Yeah, okay. All right, so we are in a new hotel now, and we don't have several things in this hotel. We don't have the measuring utensils. We don't have a microwave. We don't have a stove. So I do have my little travel kettle here. It's collapsible. Has a plug. And it does have some milliliter markings on it. I don't know if you can see that. I could barely see it. It's got markings for 200 milliliters and 600 milliliters because that's the max and min. And so I am going to be using that as kind of a rough estimate. 600 milliliters, I am told, is about 2.5 cups, and 1 cup is just over 200 milliliters, a little bit over. I also have bottles of water that are 16.9 ounces, so I know these are just over 2 cups. And we have some 12-ounce cups here that we can use to help estimate the water. But I'm going to get some water heating in my little kettle. This does have a handle that comes up here. I am going to get water heating in my little kettle because we are hungry and we are ready to eat. So I'll show you the meals that we're going to be trying this time. So these are the meals that we're trying tonight. They're all some version of a beef stroganoff or a creamy beef with noodles, which is basically the same thing, in my mind anyways. We've got Mountain House, Peak Refuel, ReadyWise, and Thrive Life. I'm really hoping that ReadyWise can redeem themselves with this meal. I feel like it's difficult to mess up noodles and beef in a creamy sauce. The Mountain House is a 2-serving pouch, 4.3 ounces or 123 grams. Per serving, it's 280 calories, 12 grams of protein, and then for the whole bag, it would be 560 calories and 24 grams of protein. The Peak Refuel is another 2-serving pouch. It is 5 ounces, 142 grams. And for 1 serving, we've got 400 calories and 20 grams of protein. For the whole package, it's going to be 810 calories and 41 grams of protein. Next, we've got the ReadyWise meal. Like the others, this is a 2.5-serving pouch. It's 5.6 ounces and 160 grams. Each serving is going to have 280 calories, 13 grams of protein. So the whole entire package is going to have 690 calories and 34 grams of protein. And then the Thrive Life meal, this is a 3-serving pouch. It is 7.4 ounces, 210 grams. For 1 serving, we're going to get 320 calories, 14 grams of protein. The entire package is going to be 970 calories and 42 grams of protein. I can hear my water starting to get hot. I'm going to have to do these in shifts because I can't heat this much water that I need for all of these pouches at one time. So I will do one and then get the next one going, and so on and so forth. I do just want to mention, if you don't have a travel kettle like this, one thing that pretty much all hotel rooms do have that we have used to cook meals like this before is a coffee maker. This hotel actually has a Keurig, which would be nice. You would just pour the exact amount of water you needed into the back and it would come out here hot. And it's less likely to be really gross inside. We have used regular coffee makers as well. Part of the reason that we got the travel kettle is because there's always a little bit of concern about what the condition is going to be like inside the coffee maker, if it's going to be really gross and dirty. But this is an option, and also probably the hotel might very often have hot water available down in their breakfast area if they have one, if you don't have a microwave in your room, because you could also use a microwave to heat the water, but this room does not have a microwave or anything at all like that. I'm going to do the Mountain House meal first. This one calls for 1 2/3 cups of water and 5 minutes, stir again, 4 more minutes. Okay. Now, obviously, we're going to have to be a little lenient on our judgments on texture because I could be getting these water amounts wrong by a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and give this one a stir and seal it up and get it into a pouch. We are really roughing it this time because we do not have plates. I do have 2 paper plates, and then I have our 2 collapsible containers that we use inside the HotLogic. So this is how we're going to have to plate these up tonight. But we're really looking forward to it because we are some hungry and we're hoping some of these meals are going to be good. All right, Mountain House is ready to dish out. And now we're going to give it a try.
That's pretty good. Doesn't have a whole lot of flavor. Let's see. Appearance, I'd give it probably a 6. Flavor, probably a 5. And texture is good, so let's go with 9.
All right, now let me try this one. Let's see. I think appearance, I'm going to say 7. I don't think it looks bad. I don't see a whole lot of mushroom pieces. I don't know. There's some. I think it looks pretty good. What did I say, 7 for appearance? All right, let's have a bite. Definitely not a bad flavor. Not a lot, but that's pretty decent. I'm going to give that a 7 for flavor and texture. I'm going to go with 8. I like the texture of the noodles, the meat. It's fine. It's not my favorite, but that's pretty good. Next, I'm going to be dishing out the Peak Refuel.
Okay.
Appearance?
I'm working
Oh,
on it.
okay. I didn't know.
I was trying to find what the meat looked like.
I thought you forgot.
For appearance, I would say this doesn't look bad. Big pieces of meat. So it looks pretty good. What is this supposed to be?
Beef stroganoff. It is stroganoff. Some of the other ones said creamy beef and noodles. This one said stroganoff.
See, to me, this tastes a lot more. It almost tastes cheesy.
Well, I wonder if it's sour creamy.
More cheesy.
More cheesy?
So this is a tough one because for flavor, it tastes pretty good, but I wouldn't say it tastes like stroganoff. I'm going to have to give it a 5. For flavor and texture is pretty good, so I would give it an 8.
Okay, now let me try it. All right, appearance, I'm going to give this one a 5 because I kind of think this one just doesn't look that great. It looks kind of mushy and, I don't know, pasty. I think the flavor is good. To me, I think it's got a good sour creamy flavor. I'm going to go a 9 on flavor and texture. That's good. All right, so now let's dish out the ReadyWise.
Oh no.
Let's see.
So for appearance, I don't know. I feel like it doesn't look all that great, but we'll go 6. Surprisingly, not too bad. I would say probably 6 for a taste, and maybe, well, we'll do 6 for texture.
So let me look at this one. Yeah, the appearance isn't terrible, but once again, kind of mushy and pasty looking. So I'm going to go with a 5 on appearance. Let's see how this is. Yeah, it's actually not terrible. Thank goodness. So they redeemed themselves a little bit on this one. It's not super flavorful, but it's not awful. I could definitely eat this. I'm going to go with a 6 on flavor and a 5 on texture because I'm getting some crunchiness in the meat pieces, even though this had the longest sitting time. Although, to give it credit, the texture is not as watery and soupy as the other dishes of theirs that we tried. It's nice and thick, so it could be much worse. And next, to dish out the Thrive Life meal. All right, now to try the Thrive Life meal.
Looks pretty good. I would have to go with maybe an 8 on appearance. It's definitely got more of that stroganoff taste, I feel like. So I would give it I would say a 7 on flavor and an 8 for texture.
All right, so for me, appearance, I like these curly noodles. I feel like this looks more like real pasta than some of the other ones that kind of look like a instant noodle or like a ramen type of noodle. So I'm going to give this one a 7 on appearance. And let's try it. I really like the flavor on this one. I'm gonna go 9 on flavor. I was gonna give it a 7 on texture because I had a piece of beef that was a little bit not quite softened, but I just had another big piece that was really good. And like I said, we have to go a little bit easy on the texture on these because I wasn't able to measure my water very well. It's definitely nice and thick. The pasta's tender. It's not runny, but it's not overly thick. So I'm gonna go with an 8, 7.5 on texture with this one. Granted, our tests were not perfectly executed, but we did have fun. We got to try out some new meals and new brands and get some new favorites. Keep in mind, these are only our opinions on these meals. You probably noticed we didn't even share the same opinion on the different meals most of the time. But that's kind of the point that we're trying to make here with this video after all. People really should be trying these meals out and deciding which ones they like before giving them space in their food storage. Whether it's in a hotel room, like this case, at a camp after a long day of backpacking, or in the middle of a grid down emergency, you don't want to try one of these meals when it's your only option and realize you can't stomach it. Try them out once and then choose only those that you enjoy to stock up on. Many companies offer variety packs that let you try several meals at a bit of a discount, and that's a great way to do it. From the testing that we did on this trip, we came to the conclusion that the ReadyWise meals just really aren't very good at all, although the beef and noodles was considerably better than the others. This isn't intended to be a slam on any one company, although it is a reminder that you do get what you pay for. ReadyWise did recently release a line of pro meals that look like they might be more on par with the other meals that we tried that we liked. We didn't get a chance to get any of those for this test, but we're looking forward to trying them in the near future and see how they compare. Besides those, though, the other brands we tried were all pretty good. What we really found was that it might come down to your personal preference with those higher quality meals. If you personally like or dislike a certain flavor, you might prefer one brand over the other, or you might want to stock all of them for a little change of pace and even greater variety. For instance, with the teriyaki meal, it might come down to whether you like a strong ginger flavor in your food, or you prefer a fruity pineapple teriyaki version, or maybe like us, you like them all well enough to keep them all on hand and enjoy the variety. With the breakfast meals, it might depend on whether you do or don't like bell peppers or spinach, or whether you do or don't enjoy a little spice in your food. For us, these meals are a great option to keep on hand. In an emergency, all you have to do is boil water, and a few minutes later, you can have a warm, hearty meal. They can be a great option for those people who prep for just 1 or 2 people as well. We even know people who will mix up the dry ingredients in the pouch and then divide them into 2 portions so they can even have a smaller meal. Besides emergency use, obviously these meals are great for backpackers, since I'm pretty sure that was the original intended use of these meals. But we really love using them just the way that we showed you today for travel. Of course, sometimes traveling is about relaxing and pampering ourselves and not having to deal with meal preparation or cleanup. And it's nice to eat a meal out sometimes. But oftentimes we are really trying to keep our costs down when we travel because the travel itself and the lodging are so expensive on their own. I would say we spend anywhere from around $10 to $15 on the very high end on one of these pouches. Like everything else, we try to grab them when they're on sale, anything else we can do to keep the cost down. We usually either prepare 1 pouch or 2 for the 2 of us to eat, depending on the size of the meal, how hungry we are, and what each of us feels like eating. So anywhere from $10 to $30 ballpark for both of us to eat a meal. There is no way that we could go out to eat anywhere near that price. Even fast food would probably cost that much or more these days. So it's a definite money saver for us, and it's also a time saver. A lot of the time we're traveling for business and we have work to do and not a lot of time to find a restaurant and go eat out. If we get into our destination super late and nothing is open to get a bite to eat, we're covered. Packing a pouch or 2 in our carry-on bag can also be a lifesaver if we get stuck in an airport somewhere. Even if we don't have the travel kettle or my little immersion water heater with us, you can usually find a coffee shop in the airport that will give you some hot water. Tell me down below in the comments, have you ever tried the Just Add Water backpacking and emergency meals like these? Or do you even have some in your food storage that you've never tried? If you have tried them, what are some of your favorite brands and favorite meals? If you made it all the way to the end of the video, leave me a tea kettle emoji down in the comments and check out this video next to see how to make your very own DIY chicken teriyaki meal pouch. I'm Jara with Wicked Prepared. Survive today, thrive tomorrow. We'll see you next time.